Yo, what is up, my Shadow Armies? It is I, Shadow Critias, back in with another top 10 Monster Girls Encyclopedia anime video. So, yes, today I'm gonna go ahead and do this, the long waiting of this that I've been wanting to do until I want to finish the entire series of Monster Girls Encyclopedia, which is top 10 favorite Monster Girls from the Monster Girls Encyclopedia books. But apparently, I didn't feel like continuing on with this anymore because, well, it's because the bonus episodes are wearing me out, stressing me out. Not only that, it's also that I never have the time because, well, work and more hours, all that stuff. So I decided to say cancel the series and make this one as a final video for Monster Girls Encyclopedia content I will post on this channel for a bit, but that doesn't mean I could talk about it or something like that. So I just want to go ahead and get this one out of the way so you guys could enjoy, and I want to know you guys top 10's favorite or 5 favorite on Monster Girls from Monster Girls Encyclopedia. If you guys want to know or want to look up the website of the wiki of Monster Girls Encyclopedia, I'll have the link of that down below the description box, or you could go to your Amazon or whatever. You can find the 2 books on the Monster Girls Encyclopedia, volume 1 and 2, so you guys could check them out, so you could get them, all that stuff, and come back and let me know what is your top 10 or top 5 or whatever. So this is my top 10 Monster Girls Encyclopedia. So yeah, I got nothing to say. Let's just go ahead and dive right into it.
A type of golem animated by extremely sophisticated magic and precise mechanisms. They are created from unknown materials, and the residual essence remaining in their power units also indicates that it was neither humans nor monsters that created them. It would be extremely difficult to create them with current technology, and the individuals currently in existence were excavated from ancient ruins and animated via Momono Mana. They are expressionless and poor at expressing emotion, but they will take the initiative to help someone in danger, whether they're human or monster, and they even appear affectionate towards weak targets such as children and small animals. They are internally equipped with a healing device and weapons, but it seems even before their alteration due to Momono Mana the weapons were created only to disable foes without killing them. They regard serving others as their raison d'etre. 1, and by learning the necessary information themselves, they're naturally able to provide their masters with personal care and serve as a bodyguard, plus they will faithfully carry out any order given. When they spot a human man who strikes their fancy, they request permission to serve at his side as an attendant, and upon receiving permission, they will perform an action called authentication registration. For this, they need a part of the man's body, and the main method involves using the tongue-like mechanism inside their mouth to lick up sweat and skin material from the man's finger. Aside from that, they may also crawl their tongue along the inside of the man's mouth and absorb his saliva to obtain more detailed information. By such means, they read the information of the man who becomes their owner and record it in their central circuit, which is their core, causing all of their mechanisms to recognize their master's existence. They fundamentally will not take things any further than that themselves, but even just the seductive and obscene authentication registration could be taken as sexual foreplay, and it's enough to let their master know how wonderful their service is, so it isn't uncommon for the master himself to take things further. Their lower abdomen is equipped with a semen milking mechanism that was created by becoming a monster, and not only is there the rocking movement of their exterior hips, the internal semen sucking mechanism also moves separately and independently to provide pleasure to the penis for their master's enjoyment. Given that they recognize that they exist entirely to serve their master, should their master desire an obscene act, they'll offer their body with pleasure at any given time. They are resistant to impact, high temperatures, and even low temperatures, but they are weak to electricity, and if electrified their main power core will short circuit and shut down. Because they automatically switch to reserve power, they won't actually cease to function, but the Momono Mana they were using to operate the main power unit will instead be distributed throughout their body. Since they switch to the method of directly operating each of their various mechanisms, they will appear different than normal during this time, and they will start to behave in an extremely monster-like fashion. Normally their facial expression doesn't indicate any emotion, but the ecstasy they get from being able to serve their master will become apparent. Their desire will be laid bare by how amorously they gaze at their master while serving him. Their almost monotone voice will change to a sweet tone that doesn't even try to conceal their love. They'll repeatedly mutter their master's name, and reach towards his lower parts, guided by the commands being transmitted throughout their entire body from their central circuit. In order to restore their main power, they will require the essence, aka semen, of their master who is recorded in their central circuit, so once they enter this state they won't hold back on service until having their insides filled with a large amount of semen. A mouse monster native to the Mist continent. They have a coat of bright red flames and can tolerate intense heat without burning. They are overly confident and pugnacious, having a disposition almost as intense as fire. Even though most of them have a small body, they excel at martial arts, and when they spot a man who also has knowledge of martial arts, they'll assertively challenge him to battle. Their flames ignite the hearts of those exposed to them, arousing their fighting spirit. Since those who've been challenged to a fight by them have their fighting spirit seared by these flames, they become unable to avoid fighting her. Unlike other monsters, they don't show much interest in having sex with men, and even act as though it disgusts them. Even in the case of winning a battle with a man, they'll mostly be satisfied with just that, and leave. However, in the case that the man wins, his fighting spirit that had been ignited by their flames will then change into lust that burns with just as much intensity, and it will be directed towards them. If that happens, a man will end up giving in to his burning urges and rape them. Water is their weak point, and when they have a lot of it poured on them, the flames of their coat temporarily weaken, and the color changes, growing whiter. Along with that, their fighting spirit and violent temperament are also lost, and their timid nature that had been hidden by the flames becomes exposed. The liquid that contains lots of male essence, that is to say, semen, is even more highly effective. Even if they verbally refuse, their body will accept the essence, and each time essence is poured inside, their flames will weaken for a time, and they will reveal the submissive and adorable side of themselves. They're covered in their own flames which rouse their own spirit. The reason they don't show any interest in sex in spite of this is that they release all of their arousal through fighting. The monster within is always smoldering, but if they have sex with a man and their body learns the taste of the man who is their husband, their flames flare up to such a degree that they can't be relieved just through fighting, and then they'll feel passionate desire towards their husband. After obtaining a husband, their flames increase in intensity, and can no longer be weakened by water, or the essence of another man. The only thing that can extinguish them is their husband's essence. Even if they're normally not submissive, if their husband pours his essence inside, their coat, the inside of their belly, and even the inside of their head will be stained pure white. They'll likely only reveal their entrancing smile and meekly sweet voice to their husband. During sex, part of their flames will transfer into the body of their partner like a spreading fire, and he'll be able to temporarily drape himself in this Hinazumi coat. It is said that the coat of flames grants the wearer high resistance to fire and heat, and heats up and activates the body, allowing the constant utilization of the maximum extent of his power. Additionally, it also enables the feat of covering one's fists in flame, and in the Mist continent it's not uncommon to see a couple of fighters, a Hinazumi and her husband, covered in flames together. However, being draped in flame also has the effect of causing constant arousal, and that arousal will also be directed towards the original owner of the coat, the Hinazumi. Of course, if lacking an opponent to fight, he'll lash out at his mate, the Hinazumi, with that arousal, a dark beast that has both the wings of an eagle and the lower body of a lion. They inhabit secluded areas deep in the mountains and the vicinity of desert ruins, and were once given a duty by the gods to protect their treasures sleeping within the ruins, or the ruins themselves. Even in the present, they adhere to those duties and continue to protect the treasures. Their dispositions are extremely wild and ferocious, and they'll mercilessly attack and attempt to drive away anyone who approaches the treasures they guard, no matter who it is. They also have prideful and daring personalities, and it is said that they have even fought and driven away dragons who came to collect treasure. And so, they look down on humans as greedy tomb raiders who are after the gods' treasures, and display a haughty attitude. To a Griffin, the taste of a man's essence heightens with desire. The more he desires her, the more completely she becomes absorbed in pleasing him with her mouth. However, they are also firmly endowed with the monster's instinct to seek human men. Even before they changed into their current form, they were sensitive towards the desires that humans possess, and due to that they're both able to sense the presence of tomb raiders, and have had a habit of being more ferocious towards them the higher the intensity of the raider's desire. In the present, their ferocity towards men has changed from bloodlust to obscene carnal desire, and the stronger the desire possessed by a man is, the stronger their lust towards a man will grow, and they'll be dying to ravish him. Usually other arrogant monsters regard humans as lowly creatures and hesitate to have sex with them, but that sentiment is nowhere to be found in the Griffin's case. They suddenly attack and attempt copulation without hesitation. They swoop from the sky and pin men down, and there isn't any way to prevent it. In the blink of an eye, they'll be straddling a man, and as expected, they won't hesitate to take his penis deep inside and shake their body with furiously wild hip movements. As the desire of men naturally leads them to come after the treasure, so too do the Griffins enjoy the pleasure of violating and subjugating such insolent men according to their own desire. However, while continuing to have sex like that, a change will come over the two. Because she is a monster, the Griffin's body will charm the man through sex. His desire towards the treasure will diminish, and instead, his desire to have sex with the Griffin will swell. Just like materialistic desire and the thirst for wealth, it will fan the flames of her ferocity. However, desire directed towards the Griffin herself will raise not only carnal desire, but the monster's female desire to couple with the male. By providing her husband pleasure with her own body, which results in her husband desiring her even more, she'll experience ecstasy and a rapid heartbeat unlike anything she had ever felt before. She'll lose control and become engrossed in having sex with her husband. When it was directed towards the treasure I was supposed to protect, I only felt disdain or even hatred towards the desire possessed by humans. I had no idea that it could be something so lovely and pleasant if directed towards myself. As a result of changing so that she dotes on her husband even more than the treasure she is supposed to guard, she'll end up focusing on her husband so much that the treasure she's supposed to protect will frequently be missing from her thoughts. Thus she may even neglect her original duty, or something like that, a type of beastman having the characteristics of wolves that live in packs. Their intelligence is high, but they are ferocious, and they use their strong legs and exceptional stamina to prowl forests, mountainous regions, etc. in search of prey. When they locate a man who suits their taste, they attack and rape, allowing themselves to be consumed by overwhelming bestial lust. They have the characteristics of wolves, and they are truly ferocious like beasts during mating. When maddening lust drives them to ravishing men, they rock their hips against them simple-mindedly. Of course, they possess far more stamina than humans. They won't be satisfied with having sex just once or twice. One would end up having to release his sperm inside of them a countless number of times. It is often said that men are wolves, but these wolf women are truly like that. They have a powerful lust for men, and they're like beasts that attack and rape. Additionally, since wild werewolves live in packs, if they take a liking to a man, he'll be integrated into the pack, and then he'll end up having to service multiple partners. He'd end up getting raped over and over by many werewolves every night. Many beastmen become even more ferocious when they go into heat. Sometimes their desire for a human man is so intense that they'll even come to human villages. When they're in heat, their body is always throbbing, yearning for human male seed. They'll give into the throbbing and keep mating day and night. The throbbing doesn't go away until their heat ends, or they become pregnant. In this way, they're really ferocious, but they sometimes recognize men as their superior if they're defeated, or if they fall totally in love. And then they'll end up becoming extremely loyal to the male partner they recognize as their superior. In other words, their master, and they become just like a dog fawning over a man even during sex. Such werewolves beg for seed so that they can bear the man's children. Also, one who has dominated many werewolves ends up as the boss of the pack, the alpha. All the werewolves seek sex, and want to have their boss's children, so every night, he would have to be with them when they snuggle up to him seeking sex. Also, they sometimes attack and bite human women. Women bitten by them are influenced by Momono Mana through the opening in the wound and they end up turning into a werewolf just like them. Women who change from human to werewolf tend to be much more docile than those who were werewolves from the beginning. Since they recognize their own family and lover as pack members and master, it's possible for them to keep living like that. However, if there are other women in their family, they will try to bite them and change them into werewolves, just like those who were originally a werewolf. They have an intense sexual desire for the men who became their master and will go into heat and seek his seed, so it can be problematic. Because they were originally humans, they're even less able to control their bestial lust and the man who became their master will end up having to mate with them when they have several times as much lust as they did when they were humans. A general term for the daughters of the Momono Lord who possess both incredible magic power and beauty that captivates men and won't let them go. They have pale skin and pure white hair, which they share in common with the Momono Lord, and red eyes full of Momono Mana. Other than that, their looks and personalities all vary depending on the individual, but all of the Lilim have a lustful personality and their heads are full of thoughts of sex, as is becoming of a succubus. They have a deep love for all men and monsters and they want nothing other than for humans and monsters to live together in harmony, seeking each other's bodies and lustfully having sex. To them that is the ideal form of human-monster relations and that is what they like more than anything else. They have the greatest power of all succubi, but even if they don't use their power for charm spells, almost all men would become their prisoner after only catching a glimpse of their visage. Even without using words of temptation, men are aroused at the sight of them and consumed by total lust. If they tempt a man, even without magic, there is no element of force even necessary. The men themselves will step forward and offer their bodies, desiring to be ravished by them. It is said that even if a man charmed by them had been a monster-hating devout follower of the chief god only moments earlier, from then on he would be eagerly looking forward to the devilish pleasure that they can offer. They have the power to rule over many men, but no matter what, their goal is the same as that of most other monsters and their own mother, the Momono Lord, to find the one man they love most in all the world and always be strongly longing for one another and lustfully having sex. All they want is to become one with their ideal husband. Just like the Momono Lord, they are beings that have the Momono Mana of all the monsters in the world contained within their bodies. Just like the Momono Lord, they have the ability to cause human women to be reborn as any kind of monster through having sex, as long as the resulting race is one that is subordinate to the Momono Lord and was always, or has effectively become, entirely a monster race. In order to create an ideal world, they will aggressively try to convert human women into monsters. The race the women end up getting changed into varies depending on the individual, the time and other circumstances. Sometimes the women are changed into a monster that suits their personality and ideals, but most of the time, the Lilim decide the race depending on their mood. They are a symbol of the Momono Lord's power. The more their numbers increase, it means the more sex the Momono Lord has had with her husband and the more vast the power she has built up becomes. Also, by continuing to have sex with their husbands and build up power, the world becomes more saturated with the succubus energy. This has the function of maintaining the present system of the Momono Lord and monsters. If they are raised into succubi of enormous power as successors of the Momono Lord, then even if the Momono Lord were to be destroyed by the chief god, the world would still be full of their Momono Mana. The current world of carnal relations between humans and monsters could still be maintained. A race of harpies that have charming onyx wings. Although they are a clever race, particularly having the highest intelligence of all harpies, on the other hand, they are exceedingly belligerent and ferocious. It's even said that they attack humans, robbing food, as well as precious metals, gemstones, and the like, which they have a penchant for. They cast murderous looks at enemies, but they show such soft smiles to their husband and daughters. Unlike harpies, they'll aggressively abduct and violate human men even when it's not their breeding season. When hunting, they aren't merely driven by the urges of breeding season, instead attacks are calculated in a cunning and meticulous manner. Word has it that sometimes they even flock together and attack groups of men. They are extremely lustful towards their mate and become obsessed with him. After bringing a man back to their nest, they spend their time nestled closely, making love, and they enjoy aggressively copulating. Due to their strong temperament and aggressive nature, intercourse is furious and they usually take the lead most of the time. But on the other hand, contrary to harpies, they lose their ferocity when it becomes breeding season, and their usual boldness then dies down. When breeding season visits, their mind and body are dominated by the uterine urge to seek a male and get pregnant, and the sense of pleasure and fulfillment that they experience during copulation is amplified by leaps and bounds to the point that they can no longer maintain their composure while enjoying it as they usually do. They'll start fawning on the male in pursuit of the joy of a female and beg for intercourse. Black harpies have a strong sense of camaraderie, but on the other hand, they are exceedingly wary of those who aren't friends. They threaten those who approach their nests in an intimidating manner. And if one of their friends is harmed, a flock of black harpies will rush the foreign enemy all at once. They treat their mates and children with especially great care, and if someone were to harm their precious family, at that very moment, that someone would be making an enemy of all the black harpies. If looks could kill, then the sharp looks that would be coming from their countless pairs of shining eyes would do it, and a black swarm vicious to the point of ruthlessness would engulf the enemy. On the other hand, they genuinely smile sweetly and lovingly at their family, and express affection by gently wrapping them in their soft black feathered wings. Higher ranked demons that have blue skin and black sclera, whose bodies contain vastly powerful wicked magic. In the age of the former monster lords, they were not driven against humans by appetite or instinctive murderous impulses. Instead, they were created distinctly with malevolent intentions. They now believe the diminutive and foolish humans ought to be ruled by monsters, and they are the foremost race of the radical faction, which plans to convert the entire world into a monster realm. The demons feared in the former era were not succubi, but these demons. Although they have sworn loyalty to the current monster lord, their ideology is even far more radical than hers. They love seeing humans become unable to resist pleasure and succumb to evil, and they will use whatever means possible to lure humans onto the path of corruption, at times using their cunning, and at times using their demonic powers. Their appearance exudes decadence and depravity, and men fascinated by this are led to corruption. If they whisper alluring words into a man's ears, whether he likes it or not, it will induce a vision of the days of pleasure that could be. In spite of their wicked and oppressive appearance, once a man copulates with a demon, the sweet pleasure that exists solely to corrupt humans will guide him further along the path. The crest of the demon's contract. If her partner's penis stands erect, then her womb will begin to ache, and if the demon seeks to fill her womb with semen, the man's penis will swiftly tower. This is something that strengthens their mutual contract. Once a man has walked along the path to corruption, a demon will propose a pact that mainly says, "For offering everything to me, I promise you eternal pleasure." Most men would gleefully offer everything if it would make the days of pleasure envisioned become a reality and make that pleasure last for eternity. The pact is bound with sorcery and can never be broken. From the moment the pact is sealed, eternal pleasure is guaranteed, and along with that, the man is bound in eternal submission to the demon. A man will even come to experience arousal and take delight in submitting to her. His body will be under her control and his penis will tower and prepare to offer essence just from her demanding it. They treat their men entirely as their personal property, including every single hair and every drop of semen, and they keep them at their side so they can siphon energy whenever they please and provide eternal pleasure, as agreed in the pact. At a glance, it looks as if the demon has total domination over her man, but in actuality, the situation is a bit different. The demon herself is also bound by the power of the pact, and can never go against it. In other words, it means the man can also use the demon's body for the enjoyment of pleasure whenever he wants and in any way he pleases. If a man demands sex, she must accept everything. Regardless of it not being part of the pact, a demon will cook whatever her man wants to eat every day, and visit clothing stores to acquire whatever outfits he wants her to wear. It seems that it is in their nature to give in to their men's demands and spoil them, regardless of the pact. Deep love and overprotectiveness is the reason they always want to keep their men near them. Basically, the pact boils down to a marriage compact, and the reasoning behind their radical beliefs may be that they are worried about humans because they are so weak and they want to place them under their protection. They believe that all women should become monsters, and they actively attack human women as well and change them into monsters. On such occasions, unless the woman comes to have the same radical ideology as them, she would not become a demon, so most will become succubi instead. For that reason, when trying to recruit a woman as an ally, they take special care during the process of monsterization to thoroughly train and educate the woman, and by doing so, awaken and fuel the hidden wicked desire to dominate a man within her, thus raising a demon. The highest level of monsters, combining a strong body with high intelligence. They are fearsome monsters with sharp claws that can tear through steel, and they breathe fire that can incinerate anything. They have been titled as rulers of the earth because of the enormous power they possess. They take an arrogant, high-handed attitude towards not only humans, but other monsters as well. They have taken on the form of women due to the Momono Lord's power, but because of the enormous power they already possessed from birth, they haven't been completely subverted by her power. They can even temporarily change into the form of the enormous dragons from the time before the new Momono Lord took over. Also, they love treasure, including precious metals, jewels and rare magic items. Their lairs are full of all of the treasure they have collected. Her reproductive instinct is very strong and she can't fight it, so that's what motivates her to spread her legs so that she can feel like a woman. Although they have high intelligence, their behavior and emotions are strongly governed by their instincts and they can't go against them. They are rulers of the earth, and they look down on humans as worthless, insignificant beings. They try to act uninterested, but because of the influence of the Momono Lord's power, by instinct they can't help but recognize human males as males of their race. For that reason, exactly opposite of their attitudes, their instinct gives them a powerful aversion to harming humans. Because of it, they cannot harm people even though they have the power to take a human life effortlessly. They even end up having endearing feelings for humans. When they find a man who strikes their fancy, they can't go against their urge as monsters. They take him back to their lair, give in to the urge and have sex. The men taken away by them are treated as their most valuable treasure, and are not allowed to leave their sight. The men will end up being loved dearly and showered with affection, continuously receiving pleasure from having sex with them. However, if their instincts ever recognize a human man as a male more powerful than themselves, then they're ruled by an instinct that forces them to obey the male, have sex with the male and bear young. If this happens, there's not a trace of the dragon, ruler of the earth, left. They fawn on their husbands and strongly seek sex, becoming mere female lizards. Furthermore, due to their great haughtiness, they will not meet with people. They often turn the tables on would-be dragon slayers and defeat them, so it is not uncommon for a dragon to go her whole life without having had sex with a human man. When such a dragon dies, Momono Mana gathers in the corpse after it loses strength. It binds with her lingering regrets about never having mated with a human man or having children. She will then be resurrected as a dragon zombie. After resurrection, the decay of their body is stopped by Momono Mana, but in exchange, their pride and rational mind rots away. They become exactly female lizards that just greedily desire to mate with human men and produce offspring. A type of succubi who have undergone a peculiar development that live in villages called shinobi villages, deep within mountains and other places people come near. Kunoichi were originally human ninja women, but when the Momono Lord took over, some of them were changed into succubi, originating the Kunoichi as monsters. Their wings have atrophied, but compared to the original type, their physical abilities are extremely high, and they excel at swift, agile movement. Their long, slender, yet powerful tail isn't just used for binding and carrying their prey, it also serves as a grappling hook, allowing them to freely move on walls and ceilings. They're brought up with various training from childhood, so they excel at secret techniques and martial arts. They use spells called ninpo, such as Bushin no Jutsu, etc., to perplex opponents. Being highly capable succubi, they're also adept at bedroom techniques for pleasing men. They are renowned as a first-rate secret organization, and Kunoichi are dispatched from shinobi villages as mercenaries to serve prominent monsters and humans from monster-friendly territories, not just in Zipangu region, but throughout the entire world. Normally they perform a variety of missions as scouts and spies, etc. But those with plenty of experience are given missions of the greatest importance, assassination mission. Their objectives are mainly to neutralize targets that are men of anti-monster territories. Although they call it assassinations, they don't actually take lives. No matter how fortified the castle, a kunoichi on a mission can sneak into the bedroom without anyone noticing and have sex with her target. They continue to train their body and bedroom skills on a daily basis, all for that moment when they defang their targets, claiming his heart for their own. If the man was an important person, she'll be able to freely manipulate him by pouring in love and pleasure. The man will be so charmed by the kunoichi, who is a monster, that he'll betray the anti-monster forces, switch to the monster's side, and try to change the anti-monster territory into a monster-friendly territory from within. After completing a monster-style assassination, in this way, they regard men they enthrall as their lords, and stay by their sides as loyal attendants. With love and devotion, they aid their lord's plans for converting into a monster-friendly territory. After that, if the man has finished his role, or finds himself in great danger, or if the target wasn't an important person to begin with, he'll be taken back to the shinobi village as a husband for the sake of producing children, effectively wiping him completely from human society. These missions are one of the most important things in their lives. They are the goal they yearn to achieve. All of the kunoichi grow up dreaming of these missions for seizing a beloved man of their very own. It's not an exaggeration to say that all the training they do from childhood is all for the sake of these missions. Furthermore, if they take a liking to a man in the middle of an ordinary mission, that man will become the mark for their future assassination mission. Since it'll take priority even over assassination missions requested by the shinobi village, those other than important men of anti-monster territories can't let their guard down. After getting their hands on a man, the kunoichi prioritize having sex with their man every day, so many of them retire from the scene, focusing on producing and rearing children. Furthermore, many of them are reticent, and don't express very much outward emotion, but it seems this is because the founders of the kunoichi passed down the teaching: one should only reveal one's true heart and feelings in front of a husband that one truly loves. Monsters of dark, melancholic beauty who drape their deathly pale, white skin in black garments. They are feared as omens of death and are said to appear before people on the verge of death, weeping and wailing, but it's just that they have the ability to foresee the death and suffering of humans. What's more, it is in their nature to be drawn to those who give off an air of death, and if the person happens to be a human man, she'll be attracted to him as a woman and develop powerful feelings of affection. These Banshees were a race who serve Hel, goddess of life and death, and the power of the goddess is imbued in their voice when they wail for those approaching death. Those who die while listening to a banshee's wailing have the agony of death mitigated by the goddess' blessing and will end up rising as undead after death. In the age of the former Momono lords, even though the banshees of yore had the power to foresee death and were terribly drawn to the dying, that's all there was to them. It is said that there was nothing they could do but mourn and grieve when their loved ones died right before their very eyes. It was only after the goddess, Hel, took pity upon them and welcomed them as her underlings that they acquired their present abilities. In the modern faith of the goddess of life and death, banshees, are servants of the goddess who guide the living into undeath. This is one of the curses and blessings, unbreakable by death, that the goddess has given to humanity. When the dead are reanimated by their power, just as in the case of necromancy, human women will easily resurrect as undead monsters, but resurrecting men requires the restoration and maintenance of the power to produce essence, so a semi-permanent supply of mana will be required, namely, a monster to copulate with the resurrected man as his partner and continue to provide mana. That's when the other power imbued in a banshee's voice comes into play. Though melancholic, their beautiful wailing arouses carnal desire in men soon after resurrection when a man's capacity for thought is shaky, directing his unsettled consciousness at the banshee. Just as a man rises as an undead, he'll end up sexually assaulting the banshee wailing beside him. In other words, they offer their own bodies as a sacrifice to the men that they guide into undeath and eternally continue comforting their husbands' souls with love and pleasure. Furthermore, they are extremely easily moved to tears. Besides the death of a human, they also weep over little things, and all those tears arouse carnal desire in their husband, making him lust after them. If their husband is sad, they shed tears as if it were their own sadness, consoling their husband by venting his gloomy feelings in the form of lust. They soon shed tears, of course, when their beloved man rises as undead, but also whenever something makes them happy, such as when their husband whispers to them of love. Such tears also incite lust in their husband, and the joy of having sex with their husband also causes them to let out tearful cries of ecstasy, which turns him on even more.
So yeah, those are my top 10 favorite monster girls from Monster Girls Encyclopedia. Hope you guys enjoying this video. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions down below. What is your top 10 or top 5 favorite monster girls from the Monster Girls Encyclopedia? And yeah, this is just my honest opinion and my honest thoughts on which is one is my, personal favorite of these monster girls. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Links to my other channels, my social media will be down below the description box. You guys know the drill. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Need before share the Critias. And I'll see you guys later.